Hey, what's going on? It's Ryan here from Wilford Gone Wild, and can you believe it? The time has finally come. This trip I've been talking about for months and months now to hike the 100-mile wilderness in the winter is finally upon us. It is about 48 hours from right now that I'm making this video that my partners Evan, Adam, and I are going to leave on our trip. We are going to get a full day in on Friday the 21st, and we anticipate it'll take 8 to 10 days to do the entire trip. So, as promised, I have posted a gear list, and I told you I was going to post a video about all the gear and do a little discussion on it, so that's what we're doing now. I shared the list with you on Facebook and Instagram, and there have been some minor adjustments that I've made ever since I put that list out. You know, I'm constantly thinking about this gear list. It runs through my mind day in, day out. It has been that way for months because I'm thinking very carefully about what I need and how to be the most efficient and lightweight, but without compromising safety, warmth, and all of that stuff. So let's start in the first section for shelter and bedding. So the only shelter I'm bringing with me, same as my partners, I've got an Outdoor Research Helium Bivy. This weighs under a pound. I would only anticipate using the bivy if for some reason we didn't make it to the lean-to that we were trying to hike to that day. So we have an itinerary. It's fairly loose because we know things can change, but there are lean-tos throughout the 100-mile wilderness, and they're very reasonably spaced, and it'd be very realistic for us to be able to utilize the lean-to system the entire way and ditch the weight of a four-season tent, which would be extremely heavy. And it takes up a lot of space in your backpack that you need to fill with food and fuel and things like that. Sleeping bag is an Eddie Bauer Karakoram -30 sleeping bag, and it is technically down. They do advertise it as a very water-resistant down. Apparently it's different than some of the previous down sleeping bags that have been out there. It does a better job with moisture, so we'll test that out for sure. My sleep system includes a Tyvek liner, so this is my vapor barrier liner. So what happens is I get my, the clothes that I'm going to wear to bed, I have those on, I crawl inside this vapor barrier liner, and then I put that inside my sleeping bag. So this is going to hopefully eliminate the worst effects of condensation when we're sleeping at night, because if you don't use a vapor barrier liner and you wake up in the morning, even if you're sleeping out in the open air, you're going to have kind of a crusty, icy layer on top of your sleeping bag. So we're trying to keep our stuff as dry as possible by using a vapor barrier. My sleeping pad is a hybrid sleeping pad. It is insulated. It's also inflatable. It's made by Sea to Summit. It's the Etherlite XT. It's the regular cut, regular length size model, and has an R value of 6.2. So you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket with an inflatable pad, especially in the winter, because if it gets a leak, then you're going to just be basically on the ground and not insulated, and you're going to be very cold. So as an extra insurance, I've discussed this with my partners. We all discuss these things, and that's how some of these gear changes get made, is we just brainstorm together, and I notice they're doing this, they notice I'm doing that. We adopt these ideas from each other. But having a backup, I brought the Shortcut, one of these zigzag foam mattresses, a Nemo switchback. So even if I had a flat inflatable pad, this is like hardly any extra weight, and that just gives me a little bit of insurance. I do have a backpacking pillow. I don't usually bring a pillow I usually just stuff a jacket or clothes inside a stuff sack, but this one is made by REI. My wife gave this to me for Christmas, and it's, if I can ever get it out of here. What I like about this is it's kind of contoured to shape your sleeping bag, so a mummy bag. So it kind of, you know, it fits nicely up in the head part, and it kind of just tucks right in there, and it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't move around much during the night. So I really like it. When I tested it out on my last trip up on the Bigelow Range, I really liked it. It was comfy, and I'm a very picky pillow guy. Because we'll be taking breaks throughout the day. You know, this is exhausting stuff here, and so when I want to sit down trailside, it's really nice to have this. It's a sitting pad. It's insulated. It's just made out of bubble wrap, reflective insulation, duct insulation. And I doubled it up, and then I just taped the edges with aluminum tape, and it weighs nothing. Weighs nothing, and it keeps your butt nice and warm. So if you just need to plop down, you just, bam, your butt's insulated from the cold, and you can sit down and enjoy a nice snack and some water. I'm bringing the Garmin InReach Mini 2, and honestly, this is just in case we have a situation that calls for an emergency. I can send out an SOS call with this, and authorities can find you. You know, that's if you're in really big trouble. We don't anticipate being in trouble, but it's as good insurance to have. And another great thing about this is that you can text via satellite. You can also track your hikes, and so I did the 100-mile wilderness last fall and tracked it and saved it in the app. So if we get off trail, or the snow is kind of disguising the trail, or we lose it for any reason, then you can reference that old track, and you can see exactly where you are in reference to the previous hike you saved. I'm bringing a solar power bank, and it's got the USB-C, which charges pretty much all of my gear that I'm bringing: GoPro, Garmin, InReach, and my phone battery. So I keep anything that's battery powered close to my skin so that it stays warm, because batteries drain or die in the cold. Of course, I'm bringing a map, a compass. My snowshoes are MSR Lightning Ascent snowshoes, about as lightweight as most snowshoes get out there. The binding system is great. I just kind of preset these toe straps, and then I slide my foot in, my boot in, and the only strap I have to secure my foot is the heel strap. So it's got the heel riser here, so when you're going up steep inclines, this will raise your heel up and reduce the fatigue on your calf muscles. Micro spikes. I don't anticipate even using these much, but in case you have a section that's all ice, pure ice, which we ran into early season on the Bemis range, these could be really handy, even if it's just an extremely short section. They're safer than having a snowshoe in all that surface area when you're navigating, really complex terrain, I guess, for lack of a better word. Trekking poles with snow baskets, a must. One of my best pieces of gear, probably the best, I would say, my backpack. I've got the Hyperlight Mountain Gear Wind Rider. It's a 70-liter pack, and huge thanks to Hyperlight Mountain Gear for helping me out with that. It was awesome to communicate with them. They were very responsive, and they hooked me up with just an amazing backpack, so I can't thank them enough for that. I previously said I was going to bring like an Avi shovel with me, so I've decided not to bring the Avi shovel anymore. So this thing weighs over a pound, and on a lot of winter trips I would bring that, and especially if I was traveling through avalanche terrain, which on this trip I am not. The reason why I previously wanted to bring the shovel was just in case we needed to dig a shelter or remove snow off of a sleeping surface in the lean-to, but hopefully most of those will be sheltered from the prevailing winds and it won't be full of snow. After considering the amount of weight and the realistically the amount of times I would actually use it on the trip, I'm deciding to leave that behind because I don't think I would be using it enough to justify carrying it for 100 miles. My GoPro is a GoPro Hero 5, several years old now, but still works great. I've got 5 total batteries, and again, the solar power bank can put a charge on the battery if I go through all 5 of those, which I'm sure I will. I've got a Black Diamond Storm headlamp, so this is a hybrid headlamp. It can run on AAA batteries, or you can purchase separately a rechargeable battery to put in there, so it could be USB chargeable, or it could just run on AAAs. So I wanted to get this for the trip and use AAA batteries because I can bring extra AAA batteries with me, and it lasts a lot longer. You get a lot more life out of using the AAA batteries than you do the rechargeable one. Got my cell phone, of course, which will be in airplane mode a lot of the time. Let's go over to clothing now. Originally I was going to use some Patagonia bibs for this trip, which I like because I like having the pocket up top. But these are considerably heavier than the Marmot Miter Peak pants that I have, and one big thing for me is how baggy these pants are. I use these for backcountry skiing and such, so it's nice to have the bagginess to go over that big boot. But when you're hiking, it's kind of excessive, and if you have any sort of traction on your feet or flotation, it tends to catch on the on the legs, and you get little rips and holes and things like that. Moving on to cooking equipment. So I made another change here. Originally, I was going to bring this stainless 64-ounce cook pot, which I believe weighs a pound, and this would have been my choice pot still if we were melting snow for every time we needed water. But we've talked to some people that have done the 100-mile wilderness under similar conditions, and they said that finding open water wasn't much of a problem, and that they only needed to boil water maybe once or twice. So, with that being said, I do have a Steri pen for treating water, which uses ultraviolet rays to kill any microorganisms that might be in the water. Very light, very quick, doesn't consume as much fuel, and if we do have to boil water, we still can, but I'm just going to bring this little MSR Titan. The capacity of this is just a fraction of what this other 64-ounce pot is, but it'll still boil water if I need it to, and it's going to cut down on weight so much. 2 33-ounce bottles of white gas, as well as a backup, I think this is 22 ounces, 22-ounce bottle of white gas for the MSR Whisper Light stove. MSR Whisper Light stove is a really dependable stove for winter camping or mountaineering. It's a very simple design, easy to repair if something breaks or malfunctions, and it'll always start right up, and it puts out a ton of BTUs. So if you have to melt snow, it's fantastic. The stove is a little overkill for the size pot that I'm bringing, but it'll work, and it'll work quickly at that. part of my cooking kit is a insulated bag I made. So I'm bringing freeze-dried meals. They're all Mountain House meals. When I pour the boiling water into the pouch, in the wintertime it's going to cool off in a few minutes. So to allow it to reconstitute and stay warm, I made this insulated bag, also out of the duct insulation, the bubble wrap that I made my sitting pad out of, and you just plop it right into this. I put a couple of those command strips, those 3M command strips on there, so it's like Velcro, and you let that sit for about 10-15 minutes, and the meal comes out perfect, and it's still steaming hot. While we're on the subject of cooking, I guess you might be interested in what kind of meals I'm eating. I told you they're all dehydrated or freeze-dried meals, and they're all Mountain House meals. So I am going to be bringing with me 4 eggs with bacon, buffalo-style chicken mac and cheese, lasagna with meat sauce, beef stroganoff, chicken and dumplings, chicken teriyaki, chicken fajita bowl, Mexican adobo rice and chicken, fettuccine alfredo with chicken, tikka masala with rice, pad thai with chicken, kung pao chicken, breakfast skillet, 2 of those, biscuits and gravy, 4 of those. Alright, on to tools and repair. So usually I don't bring much in the way of first aid on backpacking trips, maybe a few Band-Aids or something like that. But with how remote this will be, and we're also going to be carrying some equipment with sharp blades or edges, including our pocket knives, it's just good to have something when you're way out there. So I've got my Swiss Army knife for just my kind of pocket knife, and it's got those additional tools on it. It weighs just as much as like a 3 or 4 inch blade pocket knife. We've got a collapsible saw, so if we're having a fire, we can easily, find down dead wood and process some firewood. I've got a sleeping pad repair kit for my inflatable pad, just in case. My partner Adam's carrying a really lightweight hatchet, so he's got the hatchet, I've got the saw. MSR stove repair kit. Baling wire is, just bringing some metal wire just in case a snowshoe breaks or something like that and you need to make a repair in the field. Paracord is multi-use. There's so many things that could come in handy for. I brought a pretty good length of that. Bringing 2 lighters and a ferro rod and some fire starter tabs. So that's just to kind of make it just a little easier when we're starting that fire when we get into camp. So water bottles, I don't use a bladder in the winter. I don't really use them much in the summer either, honestly, but I especially don't use a water bladder in the wintertime because there's a couple things. First of all, it freezes up. Even if you blow the water back into the bladder from the tube, it still freezes up. Also, if it spills inside your backpack or leaks and it gets all your stuff wet, that can be devastating in a winter scenario. Not as big of a deal in a summer scenario, a bit of an inconvenience, but not life or death. So for that reason, I use Nalgene bottles, and also I've got the insulating sleeves that go over them to keep them from freezing so fast. I was going to bring a Therbis on my previous list, but I'm not going to do that anymore because I don't, again, like the shovel, I just don't think I would use it enough, and it just packs on a significant amount of extra weight that I don't want to have with me. During the day for snacks and stuff like that, I've divided it up into a lot of individual bags. So a normal day will consist of 4 or 5 Lara bars, a couple Stroop waffles, some beef jerky sticks. So that'll be my snack food during the day. Got some pistachios, Yeah. Oh, that's some weight in food right there. And this one's all my dehydrated meals.